Riz, I don't know where to begin with this movie, but your performance in this is everything. This is one of the few films that I actually regret not seeing at a film festival. I know the movie premiered at the Toronto Film Festival last year, and I did not get a chance to see it there, but I really, really regret having to watch it on the small screen because I think it is a big screen experience that needs to be seen on the big screen.
Well, it's a very immersive experience, and the way that Darius has directed it is he's placed the audience in Ruben's head for the movie, in the way it's shot, but also in terms of how the sound is designed. The sound design of the film is drawn from my body and what I hear inside my body. The sound recordist would put a microphone against my chest and ask me to blink and swallow and lick my lips and breathe. And that's what the sound design is, because as Ruben loses his external hearing, these internal processes go up in his auditory mix. That's what often happens. You develop more vibrational hearing. And so that's what the sound design of the film is based around. And but I think people can watch this at home with good headphones and really experience something similar.
This movie has some really complex subject matters, dealing with someone's passion for music and then having to deal with loss of hearing. Plus, you have the addiction subplot in the film as well. What was the most challenging scene for you personally to film?
I think, ideally every scene is challenging in different ways. Ideally, every scene teaches you something and, teaches you a bit of a lesson. I think that the scene of the gig itself was quite challenging because, I've been preparing for it for 7 months, learning how to play the drums, and then we got 2 takes at it. And we played it as a real gig in a real club with a real audience. So that was pretty nerve-wracking. That was pretty intense, my heart's racing again just thinking about that. But I think also, there are scenes like being separated from his girlfriend, that I think, it kind of forces you to go to quite a vulnerable place. So yeah, I mean, and hopefully the audience finds the film as cathartic and as challenging as I did making it.
It requires a lot from the viewer, and I think we need films like this because the subject matter, as we talked about, is very difficult, and it's not something that should just be passed along. I want to ask you something that I thought a lot about, and you have said multiple times over the years that you have felt like an outsider in this industry in Hollywood. What was it like for you personally to play a character with a disability? As you know, many people who have disabilities feel like an outsider.
Well, I didn't play a deaf character. I played someone who is late deafened, and because of that, a hearing actor like myself had to play him because he goes from hearing to then existing in this kind of limbo between the hearing world and the deaf world. I think something I realized is that I think in some ways everyone has this imposter syndrome. Everyone feels like an outsider. And that's why I think it's important that the more inclusive our culture, our collective culture, our sites of collective understanding like art and politics can be, the less people will feel like outsiders to such a degree. For me, a big lesson in this movie was being allowed into the deaf community, being welcomed and guided and mentored by people like Jeremy Stone, my sign instructor, who really made me realize how crazy it is that we live in such a segregated way between deaf and hearing communities. How that tremendous amount of talent and very specific life experience in the deaf community is so often overlooked in our industry and in other industries. So yeah, I mean, I guess I hope that this film is really moving for people and, leaves them with some, productive questions. But I also hope on a kind of, Hollywood level or whatever, that it opens people's eyes to the tremendous amount of talent out there. Not just in the hearing community, but also in the deaf community and in all kinds of differently abled communities.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Riz. You're absolutely incredible in this film. I will be rooting for you all award season. You deserve every single award that is coming to you. Trust me, you're
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.